Good morning. For those watching live, it's Friday, September 17th. It is 18 months, believe it or not, since we went into lockdown. And I know this, not to the exact date, by the way, but I know this because St. Patrick's Day in 2020 was spent isolated. Couldn't even celebrate that. I'm not going to come and yell at anyone. That's not the point of this. I want to have a conversation. I wanted us to look at things, and I wanted us to have maybe a perspective change. A couple people reminded me recently of the fact that when I say things, people have a tendency to listen. I am bipartisan. What does that mean? Is I don't pick a political side. I really don't. I try to make my judgments based upon my morals and my ethics. I do not think anyone is I'm not going to call anyone stupid today. I'm not going to call anyone an idiot, but I am going to try to go over just a few basic things that I have personally seen in an attempt to help people get behind getting vaccinated. And the biggest reason, before we go any further, is to protect you and children. That is why I'm making this video. I've already lost, I think, a dozen people who've been pissed off by some of the things I've said recently, and it's true that bad advice is killing people right now. People spreading things that aren't true is killing people, and the coronavirus is that cause. Not getting a vaccine. I'm not a doctor, but I'm smart enough to be able to watch the news. And if you're going to tell me that all these numbers are lies anyway and everyone's making something up, I can tell you this: it's not lies when I'm talking to my friends who are burying people, who have lost people in their family. I have seen it. I have a pretty big reach globally. I have friends across the continents. I have friends across the globe. I have seen this impact so many of my friends that it's a heavy weight to even carry, let alone knowing that they've done it. I've personally been affected by COVID. In fact, I have now canceled a lot of the upcoming shows I have because this new Delta variant is now spreading to children. As a parent of a 6-year-old, cannot tell you how terrifying it is to know I cannot protect my son. Not because I didn't do the right thing, but because there are people around me in my life who have been concerned about the vaccinations. What you're looking at here right now is the John Hopkins. This I've watched and seen, and I want you to really understand that 4 million people, almost 5 million now, have died. And if you look at all the vaccine doses, look at how many vaccine doses have been administered, and understand that there are more being administered outside of the United States. And that's not good. That means the global world is doing a better job than we are. We are a producer of a lot of those vaccines, and this is all about, I'm not going to even address what it's about. Let's not even go down that road. Let's just put it this way. I believe there's misinformation. I'd like to give you guys some information. I'm going to do a Three Little Pigs thing for you guys right now. All right? So I'm going to put myself up here. So remember the Three Little Pigs story? So there was the one pig with the straw out. There was the other one that made it of sticks. And there was one that made it of cinder blocks. So I want you to think of that this way. That straw house, we all know the wolf had no trouble getting through the straw house. How that pig survived that straw house, we will never know. The wolf had him dead to rights. So the piggy runs off to the stick house. Now I want you to think of the straw house as not getting vaccinated and not wearing a mask. Okay? The wolf in this is, of course, C19. You with me? Run over to the straw house. So the the stick house. So now at the stick house, you have very little protection, but you have protection. That is just wearing a mask. I want you to understand, wearing a mask, it can only stop so much, but it does help. It takes a little bit more for that wolf to get in. That cinder block house is getting a vaccine and even wearing a mask. It's doing everything you can to stop this. It's not letting politics persuade you from science. I know a lot of people out there who are saying, oh, well, I know doctors. I want you to understand something. Doctors are still human beings. They're still swayed, possibly by their political beliefs, because this has become a political issue. And a lot of those doctors have not studied, do not know the medical research behind the coronavirus. The truth here, and this is just it's what it is, guys. You have to take the advice of everyone who knows better than the rest of us. They're called experts, and right now we have to rely on them. Now, here's the metaphor. When the piggy's in that cinder block house, the wolf can't hurt them. Doesn't mean it doesn't affect them, because of course they're stuck in the house. They can't go out. The outside of the house might get a little dirty. There might be a shingle or two that gets misplaced. That wolf can still write graffiti on it, so they're still going to be affected by the wolf. The fear of the wolf being outside and waiting for them is still there, but they're safe within inside. I'm going to put some things out there. And again, I'm not a political person when it comes to picking parties. I don't have a party. I don't live my life by that set of rules. Full disclosure, I've been called rebellious to the point of actually sabotaging myself. I am a very not follow the rules person. It's just inherent in me. I just don't know why. I'm probably part of that the 2%, the 2% that struggles with understanding rules and why I should follow them. Most of the ones I do follow are simply because I don't want to be locked up in a cage. Full disclosure. With that in mind, I got behind vaccines right away. Why? Because of the history of vaccines. For any one of you who's against a vaccine, please look up the history of vaccines and understand how many things in America you don't have to worry about because vaccines have saved your life, potentially, and have kept you safe. We have been vaccinated since birth in America if you've gone to a public school. These vaccines are there to help you. Can a vaccine hurt you? Yes, it can. In rare cases, vaccines can do real damage to a human being. And sadly, a lot of times you won't know that until you take the vaccine. There are allergic reactions and or death. I know some people who've gone around and said some people got vaccines and they died from heart attacks. More than likely, it wasn't the vaccine that gave them a heart attack, but it was a reaction to their body having the vaccine that did lead to it. There was also a blood clot issue. This is that warning. You know how there's warning labels on the bottom? Even Advil has warnings on it that you could die with bad use. It's just the reality of the situation. There's someone out there who's going to be negatively affected by it, and we don't have enough information to know if they never took that shot, whether they would have gotten the COVID, and if they had gotten the COVID, whether they would have died or not. We don't know that stuff. We have to, and this is the hardest part for the entire thing. You have to base it on a communal idea. I don't know when we stop doing this in America, but we have to stop now. We have to rise together. We have to do this together. We have to understand that we have survived in the past by being a tribe, by coming together. And this is the moment to come together. You need to get vaccinated for yourself. You need to get vaccinated for your family. You need to stop telling people not to get vaccinated. And you need to get vaccinated for the children who are now being affected. We watched medical experts over the summer warn that something like this was going to happen. And then we watched it happen during the summer. And there's still people out there pointing fingers saying that, well, I don't believe that we don't need this, we don't need that. Let's just go over the real truth. There are people in hospital beds dying as I film this right now because they did not believe in getting a vaccine. There are people who call themselves experts or educated who come on streams like this on YouTube, Facebook, even Twitter, saying it's their body, their choice. Here's the thing. If it's your body and it's your choice, then that's cool. Maybe we should make a little area for people who want their choice and their thing away from everyone else, isolated until the pandemic is over. I'm okay with that. What we don't want is you to get sick and affect our medical system. Because I want you to understand, we had ICUs before C-19, and now people are getting into car accidents. People are getting sick, and they're not able to find a bed. People are having heart attacks that need the ICU that can't get there because people didn't take vaccines. Times have changed now. The average person who winds up in a hospital has not been vaccinated when it comes to the C19. The average person who dies from COVID right now, or on average, not the average person, but in the average number. Statistically, numbers can't lie. And if you're going to tell me that people are lying about their numbers, then I can't help you, because I know for reality people who have died from this COVID. I've seen it. Just because it hasn't affected you. See, that humans are very bad with this. If it doesn't affect me, it doesn't bother me attitude. I remember it with AIDS. AIDS wasn't a big deal until all of a sudden straight people started getting it. Then all of a sudden it was a pandemic. And we do that way too often. We wait way too long to understand. If we had gotten the vaccine in America, we would not have seen the Delta variant the way it spread. I need you to understand that. Can people with a COVID shot get Delta? Yeah, they can. And then they can give it to all of you who are vaccinated. You are at risk when not being vaccinated. Your loved ones are not at risk. When you tell a loved one not to get vaccinated, you are endangering their life at this point. I need you to understand that. You have been vaccinated. You have had vaccines in your life. Vaccines have saved this world repeatedly. And right now, egos are getting in the way of science. You don't know better. I don't know better. This is why we have experts. And I know it's hard to trust people. And I get it. I feel the political nonsense. I get it. I've heard it. I know. I've seen both sides of it. And I don't blame anyone until this moment. I think this is the moment where you have to acknowledge they called it. It happened. Everything they said was going to happen happened. Like, you're never going to see that the world is round, more than likely, in your lifetime. In other words, you're not going to be able to go up into a spaceship. It's just, especially if you're my age, we're an older generation that probably won't be able to afford it, because it'll be for the ultra rich for at least a decade or two, maybe 3. So we won't get to see it with our own eyes. But we know, we've heard the experts, we've learned from other people, we've seen it. This is that moment where we have to understand that people who know better than us, because they studied it, are saying this. And I know there are a lot of people who say, well, I heard from a doctor. Doctors haven't been in school for years, some of them. They get updates and stuff, but they are also choosing to believe what they want to believe. And doctors aren't perfect because they're not researchers. We have to trust the researchers, the scientists, the people who go beyond being a doctor. And I'm not knocking doctors. Look, you know what? There are a couple of doctors out there who are very human, who might have real concerns. But we've also got to admit, it's been 6 months since people got these vaccines. No one's become the X-Men, and no one's become the Brotherhood of Evil. We have to understand that the vaccines are probably just being helpful. They're helping people to survive. They're stopping people from dying. This is the reality of the situation. I can't stress this enough to you guys. And again, notice I haven't called anyone a name. I'm not pointing a finger, and I don't care who unfriends me when I make a video like this, because I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I haven't called anyone a name. I'm not pointing a finger, and I don't care who unfriends me. I'm just trying when I make a video like this, because I'm edit privacies. Not trying. Someone sent me a message. They wanted to share it, and they couldn't share it because it was private. All right, so I just, believe it or not, I care. I've been told I care too much about people, and I probably shouldn't, but it's just part of my charm. It's a little kid in me. I do care. I don't want to see anyone suffer. It's hard seeing all my friends suffering through all these losses over the last 2 years. I've seen too much death. I've seen too many people affected by this, and I know getting that shot, I just feel it in my bones. It's the right thing to do right now. You're going against something that's killing people, and it's getting worse. If it keeps mutating, it's only going to get worse. But here's the thing, so far, knock on wood, it's not getting worse for those of us who've been vaccinated. For us, it has become finally a common cold or a flu. The vaccine has made it so it is beyond manageable. Those who have not been vaccinated, a lot of times, and it's getting more dangerous. It is statistically, younger people are now dying more. Like, there's truth in numbers, like, put all the politics away. Like, just look at it. No congressman has died from it who got vaccinated. No famous person who's gotten vaccinated has died. But we have all these anti-vax people who are dying, who are radio show hosts, public figures, even comic book creators out there who have stood up against, this is just all fake, have passed away, sadly. I understand the distrust. I'm not asking you to trust. I'm asking you to see what's there, plain as can be, right in front of you. I'm pleading with you to get a vaccine to help protect my son. So there's definitely a motive here for me to make this video. You're endangering my son. You're endangering everyone else's sons and daughters, the children who can't get vaccinated. It was our job to protect them and we failed. We can still move towards a place of protection, but we're only going to do that if we get motivated enough to get out of our own way. None of you are experts, more than likely, watching this video, but we can see the reality of the situation. We can see how many other countries are better vaccinated than us, how they are doing. We see the regret of people who come with tears in their eyes, pleading for people to get a vaccine when someone they care about is dying or has died. Don't wait till it's too late. Look at my three little pigs metaphor. Straw house is doing nothing. Stick is just wearing a mask. That safer place, that's that cinder block. That's that brick house that the third little pig made. Be the third little pig and protect everyone you can. Stop. Look, this is a point. This is a point where you can't be on both sides of it anymore. You can't be safe. There's those of us getting vaccines who are making the world safer. And then there are the people who are risking it all because of, like, you ask them, they'll tell you about all the YouTube people and all their friends and how they know a doctor and all that. But the reality of the situation is they haven't been touched by death with COVID. Because the minute you see someone die with COVID, the song changes. When it's someone you care about, when someone you love dies from COVID, and you have to live with the fact that you told them a vaccine was a bad idea, I wouldn't want that burden. I wouldn't. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I don't wish death on my enemies, even from COVID. I mean, people are dying. It's not a joke. And we have not a cure, but we have a way. So that's the thing. The vaccines were never meant to be a cure. They were meant to strengthen you, to prepare you. They are armor against this. Sometimes the COVID bullet will bounce off of you. Other times it might wing you in the arm or the leg. It might leave a mark, but you'll be better off with the vaccine. Everything over the last year proves that. Over 2021, we need to get past ego, get quiet in our heads, and become right with the idea that this can save lives. A vaccine, getting vaccinated, could literally save lives. And for the majority of you who watch my videos are generally into comic books, here's your hero moment. Here's the hero moment where you can be just like the inspiration that could save a life. You're up. What do? I don't want anyone to look back on, but there will be people from this point on, if not even sooner, now that we know everything we know, who will be looked back on poorly for being an anti-vaxxer. Now is a perfect time to turn around and realize this is working as a vaccine. We can help people by getting vaccinated. We can help ourselves, our loved ones, and our family. The debate's over, guys. It's just how long is it going to take you to catch up to this? Go back, learn about vaccines, learn about how many things aren't plaguing Americans or the world because of vaccines. Understand how much you really don't get that the human race faces, and because of science, we no longer face the things that we don't have to worry about because of the fact that we have these vaccines. And how, I mean, go back and look at the history of how vaccines even started. It's disgusting what they used to do versus what we do now. We're in a golden age of science where they were able to produce something in a rather quick fashion. We just lucked out. Forget about where it came from and all that. Forget the noise and look at what it is. You can get a vaccine that can save your life and other people's lives, or you can talk about agendas. There's no middle ground anymore, guys. Middle ground has evaporated. It is gone. Stop. Stop with the nonsense. Stop going to YouTube for your news. Yes, the news is bought by big corporations, but let me explain one simple thing to you. The two biggest things I've heard is that the microchip. Everyone wants to worry about a microchip. You have a microchip. It's in your phone. You carry it every day willingly. Stop. Number two, they're trying to make you infertile or they're trying to kill you. Listen, governments need people to do all the stuff to keep things going. Where do they get their taxes? Where do they get their electricity? They're not trying to look to get rid of you. This isn't some great population shrinkage idea. As a matter of fact, for those who don't know, our actual population before this began was on a decline. There are countries that were actually now promoting to have more children. Go look it up. China is now allowing people to have more children. We have stopped actually reproducing at the same rate. It's weird, but go look it up. It's really happening. And maybe that's because less people are more comfortable with letting children be born into a culture where we have a vaccine and people don't want to take it. There are other countries who wish they had the resources America did, but you're going to sit there and not take a free shot that can save lives because you heard on someone's YouTube channel that they are right because they heard from this person who heard from that person. Look, sometimes the smartest person in the room you just got to listen to. Hope that they're not a supervillain, but at this moment, the jury's out, guys. We all know the truth now. The truth is vaccines matter. They've changed it, and if you're vaccinated, if everyone had gotten their vaccines, if we'd all done the right thing, if we'd all been Americans together and supported each other, we would have never seen the Delta variant. And Lord knows what's next. That's it. I'm not going to preach. I'm not going to keep going. It's 22 minutes is long enough. I hope that I've reached at least one person today. I've at least made one person go, you know what? Rob's always put himself out there. He's always helped people. I hope that I'm seen as a person who, despite what's said about me, I show up week in, week out. I show up helping people, helping strangers to me a lot of times. I don't just help my friends, I help everyone else, and I truly care. That's the one thing I hope that comes from this. It's that, because I do the things that everyone else wants the credit for. They want to, I know other people who would love to be called an advocate, and I earned that title by having a good heart. Right now, I'm hoping that that good heart reaches you when I say get the vaccine to protect other people, fight another political war or battle with some other things. There's so many other things that can be political that are worth the fight. This isn't one of them. This is a fall in line moment to support each other as human beings. This is a basic human moment. So let's just do the basic, bare minimum. Forget doing better. I'm asking to do basic here. Get a vaccine. Tell people to get vaccinated. Make the movement where we all protect each other. I say this with no bias towards any one person, group, or entity. I say this to try to save lives. Truly. I'm tired of every day over the last year watching someone who's gotten sick or died from COVID on my feed. And I'm tired of it because I know we can prevent it now. I know we can stop it. And I hope we do. This is a rising moment. We either rise together and get over the nonsense, come together and we support each other, or we continue to let it get worse. There's only two sides on this one. You can either be part of the solution or, sadly, part of the problem.